Hello, and thank you for viewing our presentation. I am Rebecca Bealer, Head Serials and Systems Librarian.
And I am Marlene Bishop, Head Collection Development.
We are at the Louisiana State University Health Sciences Center, New Orleans Library. Today we'll be discussing deselection criteria and inventory evolution after a large unexpected print withdrawal project, and we hope you find our presentation useful and informative. This is what we'll be covering over the next few slides. The library supports the 6 schools of the LSU Health Sciences Center, New Orleans, which grants degrees ranging from undergraduate to doctoral. The Eastshade Library opened in 1931 and has been in its present location since 1989. We are on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floors of the Resource Center building. The 3rd floor has our reading room, offices, and circulation. The 4th floor is home to our print monographs collection, and the 5th floor is where our print journals are found. In February 2023, we were notified roughly 1/3 of our 5th floor journals stacks would be removed for construction of an IT server room. We would lose 28 of our 68 rows of shelving, requiring identification of volumes to be discarded to free up enough room. We would also need to shift the entirety of our remaining print journal collection to the 40 rows of shelving we were to keep. Coincidentally, or not so coincidentally, 3 years earlier in February 2020, we were informed that we were to lose some, if not all, of the 5th floor and the print journal collection. We were charged with analyzing our print journals, including what we had online at the time, what could be purchased as online archives, and the physical space each title occupied. That analysis determined only about 20 to 30% of our print journals would be available online. COVID and institutional administration changes halted that project, but this analysis laid the groundwork for our new charge to clear space for the IT server room. With the spatial parameters of this new project now known, we started to identify the titles and volumes we could discard to create the necessary space. However, to fully understand our decisions, we need to take a brief step back in our history to see how one event had direct effects on this project. When Hurricane Katrina hit at the end of August 2005, its resulting aftermath meant that we were unable to access our building and print collections for close to 10 months. When we were processing our journal renewals for the 2006 subscription year, we took that opportunity to move as many of our journal subscriptions to online. This resulted in the majority of our print journal holdings ending with 2005. The post-Katrina push to online for our journals also led to perpetual access archives purchases from Blackwell, Elsevier, the American Chemical Society, annual reviews, and the American Medical Association. We also made additional archives purchases more recently. These covered titles from the American Thoracic Society, the American Speech Language Hearing Association, SLAC, and the journals Science, Radiology, the New England Journal of Medicine, and many of the clinics of North America. For the titles covered by these perpetual access archives, we needed to consider the completeness of the coverage and how that directly impacted the print volumes we could comfortably discard. Also, each publisher has different date ranges their archives cover. For example, some archives go through 1994, others 1996, and still others 1998. We also had to factor in what our post-cancellation rights are for current online subscriptions. Many licenses for our current subscriptions state that you will maintain access to the years for which you paid for an online-only subscription. In our case, the majority of our online-only subscriptions started in 2006. As a result, we decided to keep the print volumes for the years not covered by archives up through 2005. These perpetual access archives did not create enough space for the rows we needed to clear, so we expanded our analysis to include open access and free archives. We determined PubMed Central was a reliable source for coverage, especially for titles published by BMJ. We also included journals available online from the World Health Organization and the United States government. However, when we looked at other titles that have free back files, we decided to not include these as we cannot guarantee the back files will always remain free. For example, the Journal of Biological Chemistry went fully open access in 2021, but we chose to keep those hundreds of print volumes as we cannot be certain they will not reverse this decision in the future and then charge for any online back files. Towards the end of the project, we found we still needed to free up additional space, so we looked at out-of-state medical society titles and foreign language journals we felt were not of immediate and enduring use to our students and researchers. Here are some pictures of the signage we used to show what titles and volumes on each row would be discarded. After 2 months of planning, we started pulling the volumes to discard, and in July 2023, we began shifting the remaining print journals. We completed weeding and shifting the journals in mid-January 2024. In the end, we withdrew 33,661 bound journal volumes, and it affected 716 titles. Our facilities department was handling the disposal of the print materials, so Marlene took advantage of this arrangement to look at our print monographs collection.
Our monographs collection is located on the 4th floor. The collection is quite old and was in need of a thorough weeding. We focused on weeding in an area that we hope to repurpose into study space. You can see that area on the right side of this image. This area included our oversized and old reference collections, both of which were out of date. Much of this kind of information is available online now. We also identified other titles that are available online, such as government publications and book series for which we own the back files. We also began weeding and shifting backwards from the end of the collection, as seen on the left, to eventually empty and remove the shelving at the beginning of the collection. We relocated all of the books to be withdrawn to the 5th floor for disposal with the journals. Once the journals area was emptied, we had to pause the monographs weeding project. We were able to weed 2,321 items, and we have a good system established to move forward when the time is right. After discarding over 30,000 items, there was a lot of catalog work to do. We obviously needed to update our records for our staff and for our patrons, but the catalog is also our system for reporting inventory to university administration and the state of Louisiana. Unfortunately, over the years, our withdrawal procedures varied from cataloger to cataloger, which made running statistics difficult. Some years, item records were just deleted, and sometimes the bibliographic record was withdrawn, but the item record wasn't. I don't think anyone realized how this complicated our end-of-year reporting. As more of these tasks became my responsibility, I started developing new ways of collecting and reporting data to make my life easier. This project was a perfect exercise to test out some of the new methodologies on a large scale. We needed to be able to report on several things: which items were withdrawn, in what fiscal year those were withdrawn, why those were withdrawn, and whether those were books or journals. We focused on using a few fixed and variable length fields in the item records that could work for this project and future projects as well. Here's an example of a recently withdrawn journal item record. The status was changed to withdrawn, as this was our usual identifier. Then the iCode2Fix field was utilized to temporarily code current fiscal year withdrawals. This code would simplify global editing at the end of each fiscal year. We also added a previously unused fixed link field, sticky status, to differentiate the journal withdrawals from the book withdrawals. The message and X notes were used to document the fiscal year and the project information. Once the record work was complete, it was time to compile the end-of-year catalog statistics and create lots of spreadsheets. Our new methodology for updating the item record streamlined creating lists and reduced the amount of editing that was typically needed on the exported data. At the end of each fiscal year, we submit a valuation of the collection report to university administration. This report has always been a bit of a conundrum. Here's a little backstory. The report was created in the early 1990s at the request of the State Audit Office. Our library director at the time created a report with collection data, expenditures, and deductions for withdrawn items going back to the 1930s based on decades of hand-typed statistics and amorphous item counts. Even after we moved to our current ILS, the inconsistencies continued to be compounded as statistics were not accurately reflected in the catalog. With the changes implemented, all figures can now be supported by data from our library catalog and spreadsheets. Here is an example of our new and improved withdrawn journal spreadsheet, which directly correlates to the figures reported in the valuation of the collection, seen below. While this project was very challenging and at times intimidating, we were able to successfully weed and shift a massive portion of our collection and set a new standard for recording and reporting our inventory. Thank you.
Thanks for listening, and please feel free to contact us.